If you consider yourself intelligent, there's a good chance you're also a chronic procrastinator. And no, that's not an insult, it's psychology. Studies show that people with higher IQs are statistically more likely to delay important tasks. The smarter you are, the better you become at justifying why you can wait. Your intelligence isn't helping you, it's sabotaging you. I'm going to show you the psychological mechanisms that turn high achievers into masters of delay, why your brain is wired this way, and most importantly, how to break the cycle. This isn't about willpower, it's about understanding the architecture of your own mind.
Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. The same cognitive abilities that make you successful are the exact mechanisms that fuel your procrastination. Psychologist Dr. Joseph Ferrari from DePaul University found that approximately 20% of adults are chronic procrastinators, but that number jumps significantly among high IQ individuals. Here's why. Intelligent people have exceptional rationalization skills. When you're smart, you can construct elaborate, convincing narratives about why delaying is actually the right choice. I work better under pressure. I need more information before I start. This isn't the optimal time. These aren't excuses. They're sophisticated cognitive defenses. Your brain is running a cost-benefit analysis in milliseconds, and because you're intelligent, that analysis is incredibly detailed. The problem? You're analyzing instead of acting. Paralysis by analysis isn't a cliché. It's a documented cognitive pattern in high-functioning individuals. Dr. Piers Steel, a procrastination researcher at the University of Calgary, identified what he calls temporal discounting, the tendency to value immediate rewards over future ones. But here's the twist. Intelligent people are better at mentally simulating future scenarios, which paradoxically makes them better at convincing themselves that the future version of themselves will handle it. You're essentially betting on a future you that doesn't exist. That version of you, the one who's more motivated, more focused, more ready, is a phantom. But your intelligence makes that phantom seem real, tangible, capable, so you wait for them to show up. And there's another factor, boredom sensitivity. Research published in the Journal of Individual Differences found that people with higher cognitive abilities require more stimulation. Routine tasks, administrative work, necessary but unglamorous projects, these don't activate your reward system. Your brain craves complexity, novelty, challenge, so it rebels against the mundane, even when the mundane is critical.
Now let's talk about the second mechanism, perfectionism. And I don't mean the Instagram version, I mean the clinical, paralyzing type. Psychologists distinguish between adaptive perfectionism, which drives excellence, and maladaptive perfectionism, which drives avoidance. When you're intelligent, your standards are impossibly high. You've succeeded before, which means you know what exceptional looks like. And now, anything less than exceptional feels like failure. So, faced with a task you might not execute perfectly, your brain offers a solution. Don't start. Dr. Gordon Flett at York University calls this perfectionistic procrastination. It's a defensive strategy. If you never fully commit, you never fully fail. The gap between your vision and your current capability becomes so threatening that avoidance feels safer than engagement. Here's what's happening neurologically. Your anterior cingulate cortex, the part of your brain responsible for error detection, is in overdrive. It's constantly scanning for potential mistakes, potential inadequacies. For intelligent people, this system is highly developed, which means it's also highly sensitive. Every time you think about starting, your ACC floods you with anxiety about everything that could go wrong. The report might not be good enough, the project might not meet expectations, someone might judge your work. So your amygdala, your fear center, kicks in with a simple message, avoid. And procrastination becomes emotional regulation. You're not lazy, you're protecting yourself from the discomfort of potential imperfection.
But there's something even deeper happening. Most people understand fear of failure, but intelligent procrastinators often struggle with something more insidious, fear of success.
Psychologist Martina Horner identified this phenomenon in the 1960s. Fear of success is the anxiety that achieving something will bring unwanted consequences. Higher expectations, more responsibility, exposure to criticism, loss of relationships with people who feel threatened by your growth. When you're smart, you can envision these scenarios vividly. You don't just think, what if I succeed? You think, if I succeed, I'll be expected to succeed again and again. And what happens when I can't maintain that level? What happens when I plateau? So procrastination becomes a form of self-handicapping. Sports psychologists call this behavioral self-handicapping, creating obstacles that give you an excuse if you fail. If you wait until the last minute and still succeed, you're a genius. If you fail, well, you didn't really try. Your intelligence allows you to construct this narrative so seamlessly that you don't even realize you're doing it. You genuinely believe you're just not in the right headspace or waiting for inspiration. But your subconscious is running a protection protocol.
Let's get neurochemical for a moment. Procrastination isn't a time management problem, it's a dopamine problem. And for intelligent people, this is particularly complex. Dopamine is your brain's motivation molecule. It's released when you anticipate reward, not when you receive it. Tasks with immediate, certain rewards trigger dopamine easily. Tasks with delayed, uncertain rewards, like writing a thesis, building a business, developing a skill, don't. Intelligent people often have lower baseline dopamine levels in certain contexts because they've conditioned their brains to require high-level stimulation. You've solved hard problems before. You've experienced the high of intellectual breakthroughs. Now your brain's reward threshold is elevated. So routine work, preparatory steps, foundational tasks, these don't release enough dopamine to motivate action. Your brain is essentially saying, this isn't interesting enough to justify the energy expenditure.
So how do you break this? Not with willpower, that's a finite resource. You need to redesign your relationship with tasks at the psychological level. Strategy 1. Mental contrasting. Psychologist Gabrielle Oettingen developed this technique. Instead of just visualizing success, you visualize success and the obstacles. Your brain stops treating the goal as fantasy and starts treating it as a problem to solve. This shifts you from avoidance to engagement. Strategy 2. Implementation intentions. Research by Peter Gollwitzer shows that creating if-then plans dramatically increases follow-through. Not, I'll work on this tomorrow, but if it's 9 a.m. on Tuesday, then I'll open the document and write for 15 minutes. Specificity removes the decision-making burden. Strategy 3. Temptation bundling. Only allow yourself to do something pleasurable while doing the task you're avoiding. Listen to your favorite podcast only while organizing your inbox. Watch that show only while on the treadmill. You're hacking your dopamine system. Strategy 4. The 2-minute rule. Commit to just 2 minutes. That's not enough time to fail, not enough time to be imperfect, but it's enough time to disrupt the avoidance pattern. Most of the time, you'll keep going, but even if you don't, you've weakened the procrastination reflex. Strategy 5. Reframe the identity. You're not someone who procrastinates. You're someone whose intelligence makes them sensitive to certain cognitive patterns, and you're actively managing those patterns. Language shapes behavior. Your intelligence is not your enemy, but without awareness of how it creates these psychological loops, it will continue to work against you. Procrastination isn't a character flaw. It's a solvable engineering problem in your mental operating system. The smartest thing you can do is recognize that being smart doesn't make you immune to irrational behavior. It often makes you better at disguising it. If this resonated, I've linked more psychology breakdowns below. Subscribe if you want to understand the hidden patterns running your behavior, and stop waiting for the perfect version of yourself to show up. They're not coming. You're all you've got, and that's enough.